I hope it's
Many people. Real men wear pink, everybody. That's right.
you're not bothered.
Mike, you want to start?
Good evening, everybody. I appreciate you being here as we're making preparations for the potential of landfall from Hurricane Mike. This evening, Governor Rick Scott has come here to offer his assistance and catch up on what preparations we have made. So with that, I'll introduce Governor Rick Scott.
Thanks, Mike. Good evening. I just received a briefing on Hurricane Michael from emergency management officials here in Escambia County. Let me be clear. Hurricane Michael is a monstrous storm, and the forecast gets getting more dangerous. We're now just 24 hours away from seeing impacts. Today, I formally asked President Trump to issue a pre-landfall disaster declaration that will allow us to bring down or draw down more federal resources. I also spoke with the President this afternoon. He committed to providing any federal resources Florida may need. I've also expanded our emergency declaration to 35 Florida counties today. This allows state, federal, and local emergency managers to be able to quickly respond to this disaster. I've spoken to FEMA Administrator Brock Long twice today, and a team from FEMA is now in Florida and providing federal assistance. That includes experts from Homeland Security, the EPA, the Department of Defense, Health and Human Services, and the Army Corps of Engineers. At my direction, the State Emergency Operations Center is fully activated. This means the State Emergency Response Team is on 24-hour response. We are 100% focused on preparing for Hurricane Michael. Here's what we know right now. The National Hurricane Center has active hurricane, storm surge, and tropical storm warnings and watches along the Gulf Coast. A hurricane warning is now in effect for the Gulf Coast of Florida from the Florida-Alabama border to the Suwannee River. A tropical storm warning is now in effect and extends from the Suwannee River south to Citrus County. A storm surge warning is now in effect for the Gulf Coast of Florida from the Florida-Alabama border to the Anclote River. Hurricane, tropical storm, and storm surge watches remain in effect for much of the Gulf Coast, and Tampa Bay remains under both storm surge and tropical storm watches. As the storm approaches, there will also be a significant threat of tornadoes. The tornadoes are typically, not always, but typically on the east side of the hurricane. Hurricane Michael is a massive storm that could bring total devastation to parts of our state, especially in the Panhandle. Think about this destruction we've seen before with storms like Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Michael poses a deadly threat, and as it grows stronger, we can expect it to make landfall as a major Category 3 storm on Wednesday along the Gulf Coast. And always remember, these things can speed up. The Panhandle and parts of the Big Bend will likely see winds in excess of 110 miles per hour. Pensacola could see sustained hurricane-force winds of 75 miles per hour or more. Tallahassee could see sustained hurricane-force winds of 75 miles per hour or more. Again, Hurricane Michael is forecast to be the most destructive storm to hit the Florida Panhandle in decades. This storm will be life-threatening and extremely dangerous. We're expecting 4 to 8 inches of rain, and some areas might see 12 inches of rain. The storm will bring torrential rain to most of the Panhandle, and Big Bend, which means flooding, will be a major issue. And, you know, the Big Bend area is very flat, and so the water can flow in pretty deep or pretty far. Again, prepare for major flooding from this storm. Hurricane Michael will bring deadly storm surge to many areas, even those outside the path. The National Hurricane Center is forecasting storm surge to between 8 and 12 feet between Indian Pass in Gulf County and Cedar Key and Levy County. 8 to 12 feet. Think about that. That means the water will come miles inshore and could easily rise over the roofs of houses. 8 to 12 feet of storm surge is deadly. I cannot stress enough how dangerous the storm surge will be. After Irma, 2 years ago, I remember being just south of Tallahassee when the storm surge I was there the day after the storm surge came in, and a lady stayed in her house because she had a lot of pets. She had a one-story house, The water got up to about her waist, and she knew it was continuing to come in fast. And she got out of her house, and there hadn't been a high water vehicle, she would have passed away. If you look at what happened with Irma down in the Keys, that water was 9 foot of storm surge. It came in fast and sucked everything that wasn't heavy or tied down out. And so this storm surge is absolutely deadly. Do not think you can survive it. Between Cedar Key and the Crystal River, we're expecting to see 6 to 8 feet of surge. Much of the rest of the Gulf Coast will see between 2 and 6 feet of storm surge, which is still life-threatening. 2 to 6 feet, depending on how deep it is still life-threatening. Think about it this way. If the storm hits near Panama City, the Tampa area will still see life-threatening storm surge. This is a big storm. You cannot hide from storm surge, so get prepared and get out if an evacuation is ordered. Every family has to be prepared. Remember, we can rebuild your house, but we cannot rebuild your life. Take this seriously and keep your family safe. Here's what the state is doing right now. Today I activated another 750 National Guardsmen. This is on top of the 500 National Guardsmen I activated last night. It brings the total activation now to 1,250 troops for storm response. The Florida National Guard has more than 4,000 more Guards members available for deployment and activation. Fish and Wildlife, they're ready to respond. They put 40 additional law enforcement officers from outside the projected path on notice to deploy. This includes a variety of specialized equipment, including additional boats, ATVs, airboats, and four-wheel drive vehicles. Florida Highway Patrol, they're making nearly 350 troopers available for deployment across the Panhandle. Department of Transportation is actively monitoring Tropical Hurricane Michael and is preparing crews in anticipation of landfall. To help with evacuations, I'm directing the Florida Department of Transportation to waive all tolls in the Panhandle. So all tolls in the Panhandle are waived. This includes Mid-Bay Bridge in Spence Parkway in Okaloosa County, Garson Point Bridge in Santa Rosa, Bob Sykes Toll Bridge in Escambia County, and Orchard Pond Parkway in Leon County. I'm also closing state offices beginning tomorrow in the 35 counties currently under emergency order. So they'll be closed all day tomorrow. The Agency for Healthcare Administration is in contact with healthcare facilities to ensure they have the resources they need. We expect everybody in a healthcare facility to be taken care of. The Florida Department of Health has 5 ambulance strike teams and 35 special needs shelter teams ready to deploy. Department of Transportation is working with local districts to ensure they have everything they need to open shelters quickly. Our state will do whatever it takes to make sure that every family and visitor in Florida is prepared for any possible impact from Michael. Families you have to be the first responders. 3 days of food, 3 days of water. Make sure you've got all your medications. Get ready now. If you think you might have to evacuate, know your evacuation plans. If you think you're going to use a shelter, find out where it is. We've got special needs shelters. We've got pet shelters. So make sure you know now. Do not wait. Make sure you've got fuel. We are monitoring fuel supplies across the state and actively respond to any fuel shortages as they occur. So we're going to do everything we can to keep the fuel going. Like we did during Irma, we will take immediate action if there's any fuel shortages are anticipated and make sure we can get fuel to you quickly as needed. You can use the Gas Buddy app to check fuel availability in your area, but we've been talking to the distributors to make sure we continue to have fuel all across the state. Please check on your neighbors, check on your friends, check on your family, and listen to your local officials. During disasters, we all come together. We take care of each other, and that's what Floridians do. For our local governments, let's make sure everyone has what they need. We need to have evacuations. Local communities need to start preparing for that right now. We cannot afford to wait. Get your plan in place now. We're already seeing mandatory evacuations being ordered in counties across the Panhandle. If you're under an evacuation order, listen to it. Don't wait. We don't know how tied up the roads are going to be. We're going to do everything we can to keep the roads open. We're going to do everything we can to make sure there's fuel availability, but do not wait. If your area is supposed to evacuate now. I know that evacuations are not fun, and I know they're inconvenient. I always think about my parents growing up and how hard it would have been for them if they had to evacuate with limited resources they had. But in Florida, there are so many people that are ready to help you. And there's no excuse not to keep your family safe. Keep your family safe. Keep your kids safe. Keep your pets safe. And do not wait. To local officials, if you're still wondering whether to close schools, open shelters, or or order evacuations, now's the time to act. Don't wait. This thing could speed up and start impacting us pretty significantly tomorrow night. I want to keep every family safe. Making decisions tomorrow could be too late. Acting quickly and decisively is the most important thing we can do right now. Also, local governments need to have a power restoration plan. And think about this. Look, we're going to lose power. We've got to get our power back on. I've been talking to the utilities. We're trying to make sure everybody has all the resources they need, but make sure everybody gets ready. If a school is closed, have a plan to reopen it. If we're going to lose power, make sure everybody's thinking about how we're going to get the power back on as quickly as we can. Getting the lights back on, getting the power back on is the top priority. Now, let's keep everybody safe. Stay alert to the weather updates and watch this storm very, very closely. It's a big storm. It's a massive storm. We haven't seen anything like this in the Panhandle in decades. It can still change direction and can impact any part of our state. Today's the time to get a plan. Don't put it off. There isn't any reason not to be prepared and keep your family safe. We all have families. I love my family. I'm a dad. I'm a grandparent. I want my family to be safe. I want every family in Florida to be safe. My family is the most important thing to me. I'm sure every family, it's important to you. Your family loves you. Listen to everybody. Don't take any chance. I can't imagine something happened to my family. I don't want anything to happen to any families in this state. So now's the time to prioritize for your families. Stay safe. Don't take a chance. There's no reason to try to ride this thing out. Storm surges are they're deadly. I mean, you're not going to survive a storm surge like this. You can visit floridadisaster.org to make a plan and get information on road closures, shelters, and evacuation routes. I've been checking all day with whether it's highway safety, whether it's DOT, whether it's Fish and Wildlife, just to make sure everybody's prepared and everybody has the resources they need. I've reached out to the sheriffs, to the counties, to the mayors. If anybody has any resource needs, don't hesitate to call us. Families can also call the state emergency line for assistance. So anybody can call that number. I'm going to just give it to you. It's 1. Got a lot of sheets of paper. Well, it's I didn't write it down, but you can go to FLCERT at FLCERT or FLGovScout on Twitter for live updates on the storm. But don't hesitate to call. Lo más importante que cada familia puede hacer es tener un plan. Familias deben tener por lo menos 3 días de comida, agua, medicamentos y otros suministros esenciales. Haga un plan hoy y esté preparado. It's very important that we all stay safe. I want everybody in the state to be safe. Let me turn it over to the CFO, and I'll turn it over to the sheriff.
Thank you, Governor. Hurricane Michael's impacts will be felt as early as Tuesday, so it's incredibly important we get a majority of your prep done today. Yesterday, we activated our disaster fraud strike teams in Florida. These will be out with boots on the ground to protect our Floridians from storm-related fraud. If someone approaches you and the offer seems too good to be true, call my office, 1-877-MY-FL-CFO, or go to myfloridacfo.gov. Today, I activated 7 out of the 8 urban search and rescue teams, so when the state's ready to mobilize at a moment's notice, we will be mobilizing our teams when it's safe to do so. I spoke with Citizens Property Insurance today. They are fully mobilized and ready to go in the Florida Panhandle and Big Bend area. Approximately 16,500 policies are forecasted to be in the storm's wind field. Per Florida law, no new insurance policies can be written right now, so watches and warnings have been issued. Please take time to secure your property today. The Office of Insurance Regulation has issued a reminder to health care providers and Florida laws that allow early prescription refills. The governor has declared a state of emergency, so this remains in effect until the governor's executive order rescinds or expires. The Office of Financial Regulation has authorized state and local and federally chartered financial institutions located in those adversely affected areas to close or remain closed until the storm passes. My office will do everything possible to make sure that insurance claims processes after the aftermath is efficient and quick for Floridians. I have orchestrated a call tomorrow with the 10 largest carriers in the affected area to ensure they have a system status update of what they've done to be prepared to institute recovery. Flooding will be a major concern during the storm. Residents must protect their property from the devastation floods can cause. Last year, Hurricane Irma resulted in millions of dollars of flood costs to our citizens. Everyone, no matter where you live, you should take simple steps like snapping photos of your valuables and keeping important documents secure, like your insurance policies, taking photos that outside of your house, your inside of your house. This will all assist and speed up the claims process. We have a toolkit on our website with a checklist that you'll be able to go to and download this toolkit. It's a checklist. myfloridacfo.gov is where you can download that. This storm will be life-threatening and will cause major damage. Not only take this time for the majority of during the recovery, but preparing now to keep our first responders safe. First responders rush to save us. We make sure that we're doing our part to protect these men and women so they can do their job safely. So this is the importance of preparing and evacuating now while you can. I can't say this enough. We will have 132,000 licensed insurance adjusters ready to bear. There's 97,000, almost 98,000 insurance agents in the state of Florida that also can legally adjust claims. 2,100 public adjusters. We'll have one emergency adjuster. But anyway, as of after the storm, we will have over 232,000 available boots on the ground in order to adjust claims to speed up the recovery process. Governor?
The number for the State Emergency Operations Center is 1-800-342-3557. Let me turn it over to Sheriff Morgan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Governor Scott. Well, everyone, if there's an upside to this, which it's hard to find, is I want to direct everybody's attention to the team standing behind me. As the saying goes, this is not this group's first rodeo. I want to assure everybody that you probably, in the state of Florida and quite possibly the United States of America, you have the finest disaster response team available to respond to any emergency that we have in Escambia County. The partnerships with the city and county law enforcement, first responders, the EMS and fire department is second to none. And yes, we've been tried many, many times in these disasters, and I will tell you, we're here to respond. Remember the simple jingle, the first 72 is on you, as the governor and Mr. Petronas has told you. Get all of your medications and your water and everything together. If the evacuation order is given, please heed the evacuation order. There will come a point in time of the disaster, if it in fact makes landfall somewhere near Escambia County and, of course, the city of Pensacola, where we shelter in place, meaning all first responders are not allowed to respond. That's the most dangerous time. So if you decide to stay in your home and a tree falls on your house or the storm surge catches you and you're now calling for help, there's no one that can respond to help you. That's the criticality of following directions. So again, watch the local media. We put that out, and of course you can also go to our local websites, the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. The county has that for the EOC. Monitor this activity over the next day or two. We will know something probably late tomorrow. So, by that time, if you've decided to stay, make sure your car is full of gas, you have all of your belongings, your important documents, your family, your animals, etc., and be prepared to leave. Be prepared to be frustrated. If you wait that long, there's going to be backup on the interstates. At that time, of course, we'll ask the governor and his folks to coordinate with Alabama and the adjoining states as to how we can get the lanes to get out of Escambia County, or I should say the state of Florida, very quickly. This is not rocket science, folks. We've done this time and time and time again. Follow directions. You know when to evacuate, and that's when you're told to evacuate. When the wind gusts hit a certain percentage, the Florida Highway Patrol contacts us. Winds sustaining at 30, 35 miles an hour. We close all the bridges. Don't find yourself trapped because you can't evacuate when the final time comes to do that. So work with us. Okay, listen to your radio and your television over the next couple of days. Get off your cell phone unless you got the emergency alerts. And please do what your local government asks you to do. We're here to serve. We're here to help. But you've also got to assist us in this endeavor. With that, I'll turn it over to the Mayor of Pensacola, Mayor Ashton Hayward.
Thanks, Sheriff. I want to say thanks to Governor Scott and President Trump for stepping up and always showing their leadership. As the Sheriff just said, this is not our first rodeo. We understand what to do in Northwest Florida. But as the Governor said, this is an extremely dangerous storm. Our friends to the east, let's pray for them. We understand that we might have surges from 8 to 12 feet, sustained winds right here in Escambia County of 75 miles an hour. As Sheriff Morgan said and the Governor said, First 3 days are on us, 3 days of food, 3 days of water. Take care of your friends, your pets, the seniors in our community. We have a great team standing behind us. We work very well together. Make sure you check out myescambia.com, thecityofpensacola.com. You can check out my Facebook, Mayor Ashton Hayward, my Instagram account, Mayor Ashton Hayward. Obviously, follow your local media and radio and television. But most importantly, take care of your friends, your neighbors, your seniors, and let's work together and get through this storm with Hurricane Michael. And again, I want to thank the team, the agencies, CFO Petronas for what he just said. Let's listen to each other. Let's be patient, as Sheriff Morgan said. But most importantly, we've got a leader behind me, Governor Rick Scott, and he's been through this and understands what the Floridians need in Northwest Florida. And I know that he's going to be there for us. So let's work together. Thank you.
We can answer any questions anybody has. Yes, sir.
I know it's kind of late in the season for vacationers. You said it hadn't been a while since y'all had a major storm along the Panhandle. Are you concerned that there's a lot of new residents in the area? Is that a huge concern that have never been through a storm like
I think
this?
anybody that hasn't been through it, whether it's somebody that's moved to the community or somebody that's visiting, we've got to talk to them. We've been talking to the hotels, to the hotel industry, but I think we're trying to get everybody to do is talk to everybody. I mean, get out there. If you see somebody out, out on the beach doesn't look, they're not following what's happening. Let's all take care of each other. But I think you're hearing a lot of things from the city, the county, sheriff's office. They're trying to tell people exactly what to do, and we're doing this in every county.
Governor?
Yes, sir.
We had the situation during Hurricane Irma, the nursing home situation in Hollywood. The requirements for those facilities, where are we in terms of nursing homes being ready for this?
Sure. Well, my expectation is if you're responsible for a patient, you're responsible for the patient. Take care of them. That means you need to make sure that if you have backup generation power, or you shouldn't be taking care of the patients. It's as simple as that. So my expectation is everybody gets taken care of. We had the State Agency for Healthcare Administration reach out to our hospitals, our nursing home, our skilled nursing facilities to make sure they were all prepared. Anybody else? Thanks, everybody. Everybody be safe.
Get out of your way.
You want to talk now?
Yeah, we're going to address it from Scambia's perspective, what we're doing. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
What y'all want to do?
So, eventually I got it.
Like, we're going to be asked that.
Well,